It's wonderful to have you join us in this mediated space for our first ever Art and Vespers on the Zoom platform. My name is Debbie Lou Ludolph, and I'm the director of the Kannada Center at Martin Luther University College. Kannada is a Huron word that means meeting place, and at the Kannada Center, we find we meet one another through music and word and visual art. We are storied people, and we seek to engage artists who are interested to create at the confluence of spirituality, culture, justice, and the arts. Each season, the Art on the Wall project is first of all a celebration of artists and art, providing the viewer an invitation to stop and ponder through color and texture and themes, and to inhabit diverse perspectives. Art in Vespers this evening, over the years, has been a way to honor the gifts and insights of the artists by gathering around the art with word and music. Our musicians this evening include Bradley Mogok on the keyboard, Gerard Yoon on shakuhachi, playing with the plant choir and with percussion, and Jotham Senema on electric bass and percussion. With deep gratitude to all who will participate in this hour, let us first pause to give thanks to the source of life and to Mother Earth who sustains us all as we acknowledge the land on which we gather. Welcome to Unmasking, Breathing, Moving Forward.
Welcome home. We gather together today, linked in computer-connected space. But we are all still here, gathered on the land. The land was inhabited by the first peoples, the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the neutral people. These sounds and images are from a small, still wild part of Waterloo, a spot on the old Haldeman tract, part of a land promised as home, part of a promise broken. The first people are still here. They are mentors, friends, co-workers, churchgoers, teachers, part of home for whom we still seek justice. In this stillness, I am the trees alive with singing. I am the sky every year at once. I am the wind bearing stories across generations. I am the light everywhere, descending. I am a traveler on a sacred journey through this one shining day. Richard Wagamese, Embers. Welcome home.
Good evening. My name is Carol Pinnock, co-curator of this season's art exhibit. I'm delighted to welcome you all, and I bring you greetings from Art on the Wall committee members Helen Weber, Brenda McDonald, and Beverly McNabb, who you will hear from shortly. I'm especially happy to welcome this season's artists who are joining us online. Unmasking, Breathing, Moving Forward is an important event here at the Kannada Center, where, I reiterate, we offer art and at the confluence of spirituality and justice. As we imagine the COVID-19 pandemic winding down, or we prepare to live with this illness, the question of how we move forward is at the forefront of our minds. Life since March 2020 has been difficult for all of us, but the oppression of Indigenous and racialized people has been made abundantly plain during the pandemic and must be addressed. At the Kannada Center, we felt the need to call upon artistic voices to express their responses to the coexistent pandemics. For these reasons, we have centered the voices of 21 racialized and Indigenous artists in this exhibit. Our aim for the art is to engage deep listening, stir imaginings, and awaken intentional responses toward the well-being of all. We desire to envision new ways of being and living where Indigenous and racialized persons thrive. Coupled with in-house musicians and online performing artists, we hope you enjoy this brief time of art, music, and inspiration for change.
Hello, my name is Beverly McNabb. I'm co-curator of Unmasking, Breathing, Moving Forward. It has been a privilege to develop this exhibit together to talk about the current realities of the pandemic, a pandemic that has touched all of our lives. A privilege to invite artists to reflect on the oppressions revealed during this time. We are grateful to be able to hold space for this specific group of artists and to listen to what they have to say. Welcome to all of the artists. It has been a joy to get to know you and your work. Thank you all for pivoting with us as we moved our exhibit online and our opening. Thank you for the love and compassion you brought to our encounters and the passion you poured into your work. There is a wide diversity of experience among this group. They are painters, photographers, multimedia specialists, and range from emerging to mid-career to established artists. Some are self-taught, and some have multiple visual arts degrees. Each brings their own unique perspective, yet there are deep threads of connection weaving amongst them. We are excited to share these visual expressions with the community.
All right. So greetings, bonjour, and wagwan, everyone. I go by the name of Quentin VerCetty, and I created Atoms of Resolve. And I want to say thank you, first and foremost, for having me here. It's been a great honor to show amongst many artists in this show, and it's been such a great blessing to share a message that might uplift and positively inspire some folks, especially during a month where we are honoring and celebrating Black legacies. And one of the messages that came to me was this idea of the different stages and strategies that people have been utilizing throughout time memorial to rise beyond their circumstances. And so this art piece, Atoms of Resolve, looks at the different ways that we can build each other up and build ourselves up through meditating, through finding resolve and elevating, right? And taking a moment to really reflect on what is it that we need inside of us, and how do we expand that liquid spirit? How do we expand that fluid energy within us to reach to higher heights and new levels? And so I'm honored to be a part of this exhibition, as I encourage people to find new ways that they can unmask new levels of resolve within themselves.
As a multidisciplinary artist, I'm thrilled by the power of effective storytelling. Through different mediums, I find a strong connection between my poetry and my photography. I believe that through my photography, I portray deep social and personal connections. In my opinion, all humans are respectable, irrespective of their race, skin color, sexual orientation, faith, and nationality. And my work gives an insight into the challenges faced by racialized and marginalized communities in Canada and all over the world. I write poems through which I share my pain with my fellow community members who face racism and hate in any form. My photography opens up a window through which the audience can connect with the most deeply affecting political and social issues. I utilize my creative skills to highlight injustice in society, and for that purpose, I voluntarily attend social events which involve marginalized communities. For example, while capturing Climate Strike Waterloo region, I amplified the voice of Indigenous people. At the Ashura procession in Toronto, I documented how Shia Muslims commemorate the murder of Imam Hussein, the grandson of the last prophet, peace be upon him, who stood against the tyrant of his time and was killed in the Battle of Karbala 1400 years ago. At the vigil for 215 murdered Indigenous children whose bodies were found in a residential school in British Columbia, I captured the pain our Indigenous community went through. I clicked this photo at the vigil, through which I am trying to amplify the voice of Indigenous people as we gradually enter the post-pandemic world, unmasked and breathe, unencumbered. We must not forget how this pandemic affected the marginalized and racialized communities exponentially. Their lives became even more challenging due to the systematic racism and lack of resources. I want to employ my work to share the pain and initiate thoughts to bring positive change and anti-racism against BIPOC folks. I'm thankful to Martin Luther University College at Wilfrid Laurier University for providing me with this platform to showcase my work.
Tidal wave that brings me to create a song, a sound. Suddenly I'm found breaking down, but never hit the ground. And I'm alone, I don't know what I know. This box of strings, it's what I call a home. Catch the breeze and never let it go. My songs are a waste of time. I'll drive 1,000,000 miles just to ease my mind. No, 'cause I know all my life playing shows may sound. All I know, all I know. Place of grace, perfect throw, time to waste. I'm in my zone, I'm in my zone. I concentrate on another state of mind. The sound effect is making me feel fine. I'm a wreck, so I'll just take my time. Even if my songs are a waste of time, I'll drive 1,000,000 miles just to ease my mind. No, 'cause I know all my life playing shows may sound. All I know, all I know. Place of grace, perfect throw, time to waste. I'm in my zone, I'm in my zone. Sounds that are stuck in my head are all screaming to let them out, singing now, feel the vibrations. All my life playing shows may sound. All I know, all I know. Place of grace, perfect throw, time to waste. I'm in my zone, I'm in my zone. Woo! Na Thank you so much.
Ani bojo, kita kijik tabais, bizindam, indigenous, na shinigiming, Chippewas of Nawash, First Nation, and seated. Meanwhile, Moravian Town, meanwhile, Toronto. Mishkikan Dordem. Hi, my name is Keitha Kijik Tobias, Bizindam. I come from Niashinigiming, Chippewas of Nawash, unceded First Nation, and Moravian Town. I also live here in Toronto. Okay, let's get started. I have 3 pieces up, and right now you can see 2 of them on the screen. These are authentic Hudson's Bay jackets made from Hudson's Bay blankets, and I have them covered in beadwork. On the backs of the jackets, you can see smallpox, and on the front is tuberculosis. The reason these are so important is that beginning of contact with Europeans and what we now call the Americas, or now the New World, these blankets were infected with smallpox, some intentionally, some not, and gifted to the Indigenous population. Some people, knowing that the Indigenous population here in the New World have not had any contact with smallpox. We have no immunity to it. And thousands and millions die from this virus before actually some tribes even meeting or contacting any Europeans. I think the rough estimates are beginning of contact, something like 56 million Indigenous people have died from many, many causes. And one of the main ones is biological. These jackets, I call them biological warfare jackets because that's what they were. When the blankets were first used, it's actually the first instance of biological warfare. These are really difficult issues to talk about, especially with Indigenous people, knowing that so many of us have gotten sick, have died, have just witnessed so much happening around this kind of idea. Putting them on jackets is a beautiful way to take a look at these issues and to actually talk about it and think about it. These blankets were gifted to Indigenous populations, Indigenous nations, as gifts to keep their families warm, to keep them protected in the winter. And all the time, you could never know if these blankets had been tampered with or if they were clean. And that's one of the reasons these jackets are so important, is that sense of somebody has given you something to keep yourself warm. Now put it on and zip it up and really think about what is on that. And that's something we've all had to deal with this pandemic. Whereas COVID is on the surface, we're having to always wash our hands now, being careful about our breathing in close proximity to everybody. And we have all worked so hard and learned so many new good habits about keeping clean and not passing on this virus. It's kind of funny to note that last year at this time, I was actually setting up a show in which I featured my Hudson's Bay blanket. That's the first time it was shown. One side it has smallpox on it, and I call that Canadian history, my Canadian history. And on the other side is tuberculosis virus and a mercury atom. The other side means, the other side of the blanket, I call history repeated, because again, it's these kind of things going on in residential school. So many of the children died from tuberculosis. Tuberculosis at the residential schools was everywhere. It was rampant. Kids were sick and still having to do factory work, still having to do hard labor and sit up straight without any medical treatment or help. This pandemic has right now brought so many of these issues to light. We have seen how many children have been found at residential schools, how many graves keep being rediscovered. And I say rediscovered, it's not found. Like, we know where these children are, we know where these graves are. It's people just don't want to look at it. They want to keep it hidden and in the ground. And let's not think about these horrible things, but we need to think about these horrible things. We need to talk about these actions. That is the only way we can make sure these things don't happen again. Difficult conversations are very important, or we risk the chance of repeating history again. And this kind of stuff should never be repeated. Gotcha.
Scanasogwego. Hello, everyone. Sindigehiatnet Gyazo. He carries the night on his back is my name. Gayakono Nawagi Shoutda, Ganyata, Nige Shoutda. Cayuga is my nation, Turtle is my clan, and I'm an artist from Six Nations Reserve. I'm here to speak about my painting, When the World Wakes. It is heavily inspired by the eagle and condor prophecy that has been passed on from northern areas of the Americas as well as the South. It is said the world will fall into a dark time, a time of storms and stormy people. People will forget how to treat one another, as we find ourselves in a dark time in humanity. It is the eagle of the north, representing the northern indigenous nations of Turtle Island, that will find a calm in the storm. The condor, representing the indigenous nations of the south, will find the eagle flying towards the light. The condor then follows. When they fly as one in the sky, in the calm of the storm, they will outlast it. Light will fall upon the earth once more, and the eagle and condor will fall into the earth, resting, looking towards a bright future.
Amid these wonderful works of art, and the call in this last piece by Darren Ahsén Douglas to make choices with the future of 7 generations in mind, we hear the voices of wisdom elders. We hear African American feminist and teacher Bell Hooks reminding us that racism is not in our blood. It is always about consciousness. And where there is consciousness, there is choice. And we hear Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh reminding us that our own life has to be our message. We hear Stolo Nation activist Lee Miracle addressing colonial white society to get out of the knower's chair, reminding us that it is not enough to acknowledge the culture. We must commit to the continued growth and transformation of whatever we claim to know. And we hear South African Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who speaks to all who quest for peace, to remember the essence of the South African philosophy of Ubuntu. My humanity is caught up, is inextricably bound up in yours. We are made for interdependence. May we live into their wise words as we imagine our way forward.
The Waterloo region is an incredible community, and while we may not be together right now, we're each a unique piece of the puzzle. My name is Jason Panda, and over the last several years I've been teaching and creating in the Waterloo region. My recent work has explored the art of the tessellation, a tiled art form that pieces together intricate shapes and patterns. But most of my time has been dedicated to education, community, and collaborative art projects. Both in and outside the formal school system, I've strived to build confidence, develop skills, and make connections. Now, more recently, since March 2020 to be specific, I've noticed a common thread in conversations with my students, family, and friends. We feel alone. Now I know we've been trying. As individuals and as a community, we're still trying, and it's this strength and commitment that I admire and am proud to be a part of. But it's not easy. It's not easy to remember that we're still a piece of this incredible and rich community, even though we feel alone. Belong Together is a collaborative art project that isn't complete until everyone is connected. With the support of my good friend Cam Turner, a talented maker, and someone who is dedicated to collaboration and community, my goal is to distribute these small tiles to everyone and anyone in the Waterloo region. On their own, they're a single piece, but as a collection, they symbolize a community. Right now we may be distanced, but we belong together. Once an individual has their tile, that's just the beginning. Our website will pull together a collection of artists to make small educational videos to inspire creativity. Our community journal will call on individuals to add their thoughts, wishes, and messages. And whether it's online or in person, these tiles will be shared, seen, and connected. But it all starts with a tile. To help with the costs, for those who can contribute, we'll be asking for $1 to $2 per tile. But we don't want the cost to stop anyone from participating, and we'd like to mass distribute the tiles to schools, community centers, and neighborhoods. I know it's not much, and it can't replace real connections and real people. But for some, well, for everyone, it could help us remember that we're each a unique piece of the puzzle. Your tile, just like you, matters. Everyone fits. We belong together. Hi, my name is Jason Panda. That video was created at the end of 2020. And at the time, I knew there was a need, but I didn't realize how many people were looking for some sort of connection. Since then, throughout 2021, I've been honored to distribute over 18,000 tiles across the Waterloo region. The beautiful Belong Together tiles presented here were painted by the Luther community. 2,000 of them are on display in Uptown Waterloo, and I hope to add another 2,000 in the next month. Thank you so much for inviting me here today, and thank you so much for being part of the connections and this piece of belonging. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael ManChoi Chow, and it's my pleasure to be part of this wonderful exhibition. And I want to say thank you to Debbie Lou, to Carol, and and to Beverly for putting this on. The two pieces that I have created for this exhibition, I'd like to tell you something about. And throughout these, particularly these past couple of years, with all the uncertainty and fears and turmoil, I have found that there's been two things that has really kept me centered and grounded. One is gardening and landscaping, and the second one is my art. I'm a photographer, fine art photographer, and since retiring from professional spiritual care work, I have been wanting to really concentrate on my art and my photography and pulling together the sense of connectedness for all of us. And so particularly in the last 2 years, I have found that I needed to be grounded, and so literally grounded. So I've been playing in the dirt a lot. I've been planting, and my wife tells me that she knows how tense I am by the size of the holes that I dig in the garden. So I've been combining my love for planting and being grounded with my photography. And so I have two pieces here that I like to say something about. On the right side is a peony, and ever since probably the 6th century or so of the Common Era, in Chinese folklore and culture, the peony has been a symbol of the transforming power of love, courage, and kindness. And so I believe that that's a really wonderful reminding to myself as well as to all of us that that change is difficult, but it is possible with clarity and resolve. And so in this piece, I see the peony bursting open and proclaiming all is possible with love, courage, and kindness. The second piece on the left is a picture, a photograph of a native plant that you may or may not be familiar with. It is called the Erythronium, and it has various different names as well. It is a native that pops up in spring and disappears when the warmth comes, and they just fade into the ground. And so it's so often ignored and unnoticed and underappreciated. I have planted a number of these in the garden to again remind me of the power of nature, of Mother Earth, and how we can be really resilient and able to come back from the worst winters. And I'm hoping that as we move forward and as we emerge from the pandemic, that we can become even more appreciative of the impermanence, fragility, and preciousness of life. So this piece, the Erythronium, is looking at its shadow and saying, we are better together. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ahsén. I am a self-taught artist, and for as long as I can remember, I've always loved to draw. I've tried to engage and practice in several mediums, and for me, I've just always preferred my pencil black and white drawings. They convey a lot of depth and emotion for me. And in the absence of color, you can really focus on your image as a whole. Now, the jar is supposed to represent this sense of feeling trapped, whether that be because of prejudice or injustice, intergenerational effects, or feeling trapped in your own way, whatever that may be. It's your feelings and the collective feelings of everyone as a whole. And this message that I'm trying to portray with this broken jar is that we can always break free from these hardships and show courage in the face of adversity. Remember that there's always more to look forward to, right? That to not feel trapped by the past, yet remember the importance of knowledge and educating others of our history and traditions. And when you look at the dandelions, and I've always had a fascination with dandelions, they're accompanied with this superstition that if you can blow all the seeds in one breath, your wish will come true. And when you blow these seeds, they travel in the air, they go and plant themselves in a new place, and they begin a new life of their own. And that's this analogy applies to the teachings and what's passed down to us, and hopefully what we can continue to pass down through the generations. So, and ask kids these simple pleasures, with the dandelions, never made you feel trapped. This sense of hopefulness and freedom. And this is what I try to capture. And the dandelion wasn't simply released by opening the jar. It had to break free. And oftentimes liberty is not granted. So whether you broke free from educating one person or 100, or whether it be from educating yourself, or whatever you had, you feel you as an individual need to do to escape that feeling of entrapment. And sometimes we need help with that, and all we have to do is ask, and we always need to be grateful for what we have and the people we have. And along with this, the smoke and the smudging feather are there to help carry our message to the Creator. So that's really what I tried. This was my message. And I just finally want to say thank you for having me here and this opportunity to experience so many great stories and great art. So thank you.
We've come to the end of our celebration, but it's not the end. It's really a beginning. Now is the time to really dive in and have some deep connection with the art. Explore, get to know these pieces, get to know these artists. Come into the online gallery, spend some time with their work, sit with them for a while, read the stories. What comes up for you? How do they make you feel? Are you drawn to one piece? Do you see connections? We invite you to reflect on the art and statements and to make a response of your own. Your feelings will guide you. Have a conversation with the art. Perhaps you're a writer and you would like to use written word in poetry, essay, lyrics, love letter. Perhaps music is your medium and a melody or some beats emerge. Perhaps you're a visual artist and would like to paint, draw, collage, or use photography in response. Maybe your medium is traditional, involving needle and thread or carving wood. Whichever medium calls you, we hope you will consider sharing your responses with us. Remember, art is not a silo. Art is about relationships, about connecting. So let's continue the conversations. Let's unmask, breathe, and move forward together.
As we close this evening, we wish to express heartfelt thanks to all the visual artists who are part of this exhibit, and gratitude to those of you who more personally shared your artist statement with us. Thank you for your courage to not only create, but to share your work with the public on this theme of unmasking, breathing, and moving forward. You speak to my own sentiments as a racialized person. You make me proud and keep us hopeful. We also wish to thank performing artist James Wilson, Six Nations Mohawk singer-songwriter and music teacher, and Verece Vassal-Bowen, singer-songwriter and recording artist from Guelph. May you all continue to speak out and insist on change through your work. A change is going to come, so let it be.
And it falls to me to thank the Canada Centre Art and Vespers team, the house band, Bradley Moguk, Jonrahdesgowah, and Jotham Senema. Beautiful music, enlivening our spirits. Thank you to Kay Brown for the operating Zoom and her artistic eye in putting together slides and for mounting the art exhibit on Flickr. Thanks to Mirko Petricevic for his communication assistance. Thank you to the Art on the Wall team that dreamed up this exhibit out of wrestling with how do we respond to the justice issues of our time, and mostly to Beverly McNabb and Carol Pinnock, from whom you've heard today, who collaboratively and graciously managed all the details that curating involves. We're grateful to the Luther community for the space and to the Graduate Students Association for believing in our project by generously offering funds to support the exhibit. Thank you for joining us tonight. And now, peace to those far and near, peace with justice, freedom and inspiration to artists, and healing to pandemic-weary folks. Hope to all that we will create new ways of being where all people flourish and the planet thrives. Peace to you. Deep peace. Good night.